Okay, so welcome makers and sewists. Welcome back to I Sew with Joy. So I don't know. I think there's something with me and having technical difficulties because I can't seem to get anything when it comes to my computers. Like it works when I am in the middle of something and then all of a sudden it starts to act up. So I don't know. Okay. It just is what it is, I guess. I'm just going to have to get used to this whole thing because I can't figure it out for myself. Anyway, so today we are going to be doing a placemat bag. And I wish I could tell you I had all my stuff ready, but I don't. Why? Because first my computer was updating and it wouldn't come on, and then second I figured, hey, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and have this live. And as I started, I realized that I do need my computer, but thankfully I can still do something for beginners, and I promised myself I will do one live every week. So this is going to be the live, right? So it is what it is. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And so I picked up this absolutely gorgeous print from Dollar Tree, which is no longer the dollar store because you can't find nothing there for $1. But I figured, what can I make with it? And this is going to be a good one. I'm going to, let's see if I can adjust this a little bit so that, okay. All right, that's better so that you can get a better view of what I am doing. So I have this placemat here and I'm going to go ahead and measure. It says choose to shine. Unfortunately, the way I'm going to make the bag, it's still going to show sideways, but hopefully you get the gist of what it is I'm trying to do. So for this one, because it already has a little bit of structure, I am not actually adding anything. I'll go ahead and take off this tag, which thankfully rips away really easily. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then I am going to measure just so I know what I need. And then the next thing, I'm going to use cotton webbing. So right now, this is 8.5. So which means that 8.5, when it's in half, that means it's actually 17 inches long and 11 inches wide. Okay, so 17 inches long, 11 inches wide. And the first thing I want to do, because I don't want to actually iron this, and again, like I said, this is going to be one of those really beginner friendly, easy projects. So we're gonna do all the markings and get everything sorted. So I want to get a corresponding webbing. So give me a sec. Let me pull that up real quick because I haven't decided on what color. So these are the colors I have, and I want to make a color or use a color that will match. Kind of feel like this green is the best one for it, but I don't want it too, the yellow is too bright. This green. And while I'm sorting through this, please let me know right in the comments where you're watching this from. I'd love to know. I think I will use the green I initially thought about. I could use brown, but that would make it really dark. So I will use this green here. And I'll put this aside and go ahead and start getting my things ready. So the first thing I want to do is mark this up. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take this and I want to put that area in the middle here. So I'm going to set this in the middle and I want to measure approximately 2 inches from top to bottom so that this is the center. And I will measure 1 inch with my fabric pen. I'll measure it this way. And I'll do the same thing on this side here. So again, this is just a very simple bag, and I am working with a 17 by 11 inch placemat. This is one of those projects that's so easy. If you come across one of these and you just want to make something really nice for someone, a little tote bag that they can use to carry, things as they go, this would be a great idea. And then now, because this is in the middle, I'm going to also mark the middle of this. And this is primarily for myself, so I know where things are. So as you can see here, it's one here. I have 3 markings on each side. So what I want to do is fold it so that the markings on either side are touching each other. So if that makes sense, I am folding it like so. And I do need, for this, I need quite a few clips. And I will do the same thing here. So I had 3 markings, and I will take the middle marking, put it in the center, and then the other 2 markings on the outside, I want them to touch each other. So hopefully y'all have been having a good week. I'm hoping that my computer is not messed up. Actually, it shouldn't be. The computer's relatively new. It's about a year old. But then again, with the way things are these days, nothing truly really lasts very long. Okay, so we have this marked as such. Now, the next thing we're going to do, and I want this tote to be one that's going to sit flat. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to measure. I want to make sure that I have this fully flat here. I don't feel like it's fully flat. That's why it looks a little wonky. And if it's not fully flat, you can always come back and redo. You haven't started sewing yet, so that works. And remember, I always work with black clips, black thread, because it helps you see exactly what I'm doing. So don't go saying, well, her thing doesn't match. It doesn't match, and it's intentional because I want you to be able to see. Black thread is easier to see under the sewing machine. Okay, so now I have that. The next thing I'm going to do now is actually, I feel like I have something in my mouth. Oh, and I did have something in my mouth. The next thing I'm going to do now is measure the edges here. So I'm going to measure these both sides because it's just basically just more for my seam allowance. It's going to be a 1/2 inch. And the reason this is important at this point is that I want to make sure that when I go to put the webbing, I attach the webbing, I am putting it at a good, at a good point from either side. So I'm just going to move this over here so that I have enough room to work with. Now this is another 1/2 inch here, and just join this together. So for this here, again, you just need a 18, and I'll put everything you need here in. So we're just drawing a straight line here. I'm going to put everything you need in the description. So 18, it's a 17 by 11 inch placemat, and then a ruler or a tape measure will work just as good. Clips are, I would say, they're good to have. They're not a must-have, but if you have pins, they work just as good. So don't feel like if you don't have that you can't improvise. I love when people can improvise and just use other things instead of trying to match exactly what they see. I'm called the imperfect sewers because I will work with what I got, and I'm not afraid to make mistakes. Some people pretend or act like I said when you're sewing, it's, you can't make mistakes, but I fully believe that mistakes happen when you sew. So it is what it is. Okay, now, so I now have my, oh, this wasn't quite 11. Oh, was it? It was. It was. Well, it's not quite 11. It's actually about 10 3/4, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure between the lines that which are both 1/2 inches. But before I do that, the first thing I want to do is go ahead and sew down a straight line. Now, the great thing about working with this placemat is that I already have the stitching along the edges. So a lot of things I will not necessarily need to do for this, but let's go ahead, and then we're going to go ahead and cut the webbing we need to get this done. So I will take you along with me to my sewing machine. Move this a little out of the way so it's not in your way. And then you can come along and see what I'm doing there. That's my sewing machine. And I'm just going to sew a straight line down the center, making sure that my pieces are together. I recommend back stitching, but it's not mandatory. I think it's a good idea to back stitch when you're working. Oh, I turned this. When you're working with thicker fabrics, because you want it to really truly hold. But it's up to you. And also, if you saw my last podcast from yesterday, I talked about the importance of slowing things down. So if you're a new sewist, That's actually why I had my machine to the slowest points. If you're a new sewist, I do recommend actually significantly slowing down your machine. You don't need it to go fast. You just need it to be able to go slow, so that if you make a mistake, you can easily stop, and you don't feel as intimidated when your machine initially starts. Like I think the first jump is usually where people struggle and they panic. And as a new sewist, I want to tell you, you don't need to. So this is the easiest tote bag you will ever get to make, because most of the work is already done for you. You don't need to feel like, you're an expert. It's literally just working with a placemat. Okay. So a simple placemat will get you this really a very cute little tote bag. And the fact that we've already marked out everything just makes it a lot easier, because you don't have to do all the edges, do all the cutting. It comes with the lining already. Everything is all in place. So I I recommend doing something like this, especially when you're busy. You have a lot of things. You can just do one of these and then have something nice. And this, I promise you, will take no more than 10. Well, no, it takes about 20 minutes of your time. So this is all set. This is what it looks like. The sides are already done. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and mark the places where we want our handles. We're almost done, believe it or not, we're almost done. But I'm going to set this aside right now on my machine, and then focus now on actually cutting the handle. I think I have a hangnail. I actually do keep a nail file on my desk. So for this one, since we are freestyling it, I want to see, I don't want it too long, but I want it long enough that it works out great. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. And with the handle, let's see. Yeah, I think this is a good length. So let's see what this measures out at, and I will give you that information. So this measures on my cutting room table. It's about 15.5 inches. So we'll cut 2 of these. So if you go back a few of my videos, you'll see that I once did one where I actually where I sewed everything from scratch, including putting the lining and all of that. If that was a little too complicated, then you don't need to worry, because this one just actually makes it a lot easier. So this is what we're going to be working with. I'm just going to fold this back, and I must love this fabric, because this webbing, because I seem to be have used it quite a bit. It came in a whole pack there. And then we'll bring this back, and let's go back and get back to our sewing table and look at this again. Okay, so now we're back here, and we're going to be looking at this. So like you can see here, this is the inside. I can show you what this is going to look like. It's actually going to sit down flat when you open it up, but for now we'll just keep that as is. We folded it intentionally for a reason, so that it can sit flat. This one does not involve cutting the corners and squaring the corners. While that, I think that is really, really good to do, we're making this as easy as possible for the sewist. Okay, all right, so now you have your webbing, and we are going to measure this. So we're measuring from point A to point B, and it's approximately 9 3/4. So what we're going to do is just look for a good point from between each area here, where we want to put our handles. So I'm going to count this. I want to go 3 inches from this end, and I will do the same thing from this end. So that's 1, and then this is 2, and then this is 3. So I'm going to try that and see how it looks. No, I don't like it, because it actually looks a little whatever. So I think I want it to actually be 2 inches, which would look better. So we're going to go ahead and measure 2 inches from each side here. So that's this mark here, which I've already marked. And then we'll do another 2 inches from this side here. And then now we're going to go ahead and place this in. So we'll put in the outer side against our marking. You can use a pen if you don't, if you have them, or you can use clips if you have those as well. So I'm just going to use a pen in this case because my little clips seem to love running away from me. Oh, this is on the wrong side here. And between the top and the bottom here, it's about an inch. So I'm also using my cutting mat to measure, so I have that right. Okay. So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to have the side. So all you're going to do is now go ahead and sew. We're going to do a square and then an X on each side. Okay. So let's take this to the machine. Now, yesterday when I was doing my live, I talked about doing having the ability to take this area out because it allows for, I'm sorry, not my podcast. It gives you a better area to work from when you are trying to do something like this. So I'm going to show you how this is done. I want to bring it a little closer, and I'll turn this to make it easier for you to see. So I took this area out, which gives me more room to work around. And I'm going to go ahead now and sew the square. Make sure you're not sewing over your needle. You don't want to do that. You can slow down your thread, your pen rather. You can slow down your machine if you need to. I'm going to take the pin off and put that down again. Making sure I'm not sewing between my fabric pieces. And then I'll put that down. And remember, we're doing an X. And I love this because I always feel like it looks so professional when people do it. So I try to do it as much as I can. And so the best way to do this, yes, you will have to go over one stitch once, or one side once. It feels like one of those games you used to play when you were a kid. And you're like, can you cross that line without going over it twice? Well, in this case, you do have to go over one of the lines twice. So it's okay. All right, so side one is done, and we're just going to gently take that off of our sewing machine. And this is what it looks like. Like I said, you're doing the X. I'm going to go ahead and take off the excess threads and the excess pieces here that makes it look a little wonky. And what you did to one, you could do to the other. So we're going to go ahead and sew the same thing on the other side. Okay. I think I want to bring this up a little bit. Okay. And take this so that it's not all the way there when I am sewing. So we'll go ahead and work with this again, making sure I'm capturing at the space. There's a space in between, and I'm not, causing problems and sewing between my fabric. So sew that, and I want to do one more stitch and put it down. Now I'll take off my pen, my needle. My pen. Why do I keep calling it needle? I don't know. Okay, and I can rotate it either way. I think I'm going to rotate it this way this time. So like I said, having the ability to work with the space underneath, it does help. So that's why I do recommend, if you're looking for a sewing machine, you want one that gives you that extra space without you losing your fabric when you take things off and on. And then we'll go this way. There's no right or wrong way. If you feel you need to cut the thread and then go back again over it, you have that option. So don't feel like if you do it one way, or if you do it another way, it's not going to look good. It'll still look good. This is, I feel like I've cut a thread somewhere, but we'll take that off. I did. And we'll take this here. I did catch a thread somewhere. Oops. but I lost it. I feel like I can't do any, and I don't know where that thing fell. Isn't that interesting? I had it in my hand and literally dropped it somewhere. But I'm sure I'll find it at the most inconvenient time, which is typically what happens anyways. But now I have both sides with my X, and I'm going to go ahead. So the good thing is I already have the side, so I don't have to do all the measuring again on the other side. I just need to match it, which works out just great. So I will go ahead and just match it. I'm using my finger on the bottom lower side here just to make sure that I have it on the same side for both. And I will take my pen and go ahead and pin this. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. It's about, make sure they're both on the same at the same level. Yep. And then take my other pen and go ahead and do the same thing. I feel like I have some blunt pens, and this is one of those cases where if you have blunt, I'm still looking for that piece that I dropped. I thought I dropped it on my foot, but I don't see it. So I'm hoping that it's somewhere. It's not in my bin, but it's somewhere here. I know for a fact it is because I held on to it for a sec. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing we just did and do our little square or our rectangle first. Now that we have that, we'll take this, hold it. Move our pen out of the way, put that back down. So here's another trick. If you don't want to do all the rotating and all of that, you do have the option to use your reverse button. I can do that. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for someone who's new to sewing, just because you want, part of learning to sew as a beginner sewist is to understand how to properly move your fabric and your pieces around. So I wouldn't say do that. I personally, because I've been sewing for a while, I would do it because it just makes my life easier. But and you haven't seen me, so you've been basically looking at the wall. It makes my life easier, and that's why I would do it. But I don't necessarily recommend this for beginner sewists if you are still new and learning things. You need to fully learn how to move your fabric, which is why I wouldn't use the reverse button to do this. So if you, once you're seasoned and you feel more comfortable with your machine, then absolutely use your reverse button to sew this without going back and forth. Okay, so we've done this side. Now we've done the same thing. And I'm just going to take off the loose threads here. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Believe it or not, we're almost done here. And again, no cutting. This is just a simple bag. The only thing we actually had to cut was the handle for the tote bag. This would make a really, really cute. Actually, if you had one of those ones, the thermal ones from the dollar store, you could actually make your own lunch bag. Like this is a great idea for making a lunch bag for yourself or for a loved one if you don't want to go out and buy something new. So if you get one of those thermal heating pads, well, they're not pads, they're plates that you can use at the from the Dollar Tree to put a hot pad that you can put things on, or hot plates on. This would be a good way to use that to create a lunch bag for yourself. So imagine making your own custom lunch bags. That would be a great idea, wouldn't it? So just giving you ideas for fun things you can make now that you're sewing and you are starting to get a handle of things. So the beautiful thing about sewing is all it requires is a great imagination. Don't feel like if you don't know, you have to be an expert. You just need to be able to imagine how you can turn one thing into another, and it usually works out. And again, if it doesn't, that's what seam rippers are for. I always tell every sewist, please get familiar with your seam ripper. You cannot avoid it. You simply cannot. Okay, so now our bag is done. Okay, so in the time it took me to do all that talking and everything, the bag is completed. So let me put my piece right back. It's a slide on. It doesn't take any time at all. It doesn't require any actual adjustments. And this is what it looks like. So we'll go back to our, as I say, the cutting room floor and look at our newly minted bag. So remember, I am using here, I am using just a simple placemat that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and we're going to turn this now inside out. I need to make sure it's within frame. We're going to turn it inside out. We didn't do any cutting. We oh, there's a loose thread there that I need to get rid of. We just used webbing, and we're creating this cute little tote bag. You don't even need to learn about squaring your corners because these corners are done for you. Okay, so this has got to be, and I will adjust this so you can see, this has got to be one of the cutest little tote bag you will find. Let me see if I can get that fully sorted for you. So this is what it looks like. And I'm going to bring it right in front here. So like I said, the direction is it's a different directional piece, but again, all we started with was something like this, and we created this cute little tote bag in no time at all. So if you are a beginner sewist and you want to do something really cute, this is like a great gift. Christmas is almost here. You can make one of these as a, as a bag for, to hold gifts. You can make it as an actual gift for someone. Or if you're going to be selling at the Christmas market and you want to make some items, you don't want to spend too much time making these items, this is a great one that you can make. It doesn't take any time at all. This is what it looks like. Oh, that's a better angle for you to see. So this is what it looks like. It has the Choose to Shine on the side here, which I think adds a lot of character to the bag. And yeah, so I hope you found this helpful. In the meantime, if you have any questions, I want you to feel free to go ahead. Let me turn this off now since we do not have to, let's see. So I can end this. I never know how to end one and the other, so I'm gonna leave this studio here and then be fully present here with you. So I want to take the next couple of minutes to talk about sewing because I know sometimes people feel very intimidated by sewing. I mean, today we just did this walking from top to bottom. It has the flat bottom. So again, you don't have to learn to square your bottoms. This is so easy. This is an 11.5. Oh, I'm sorry. This is an 11 by 8.5 inch placemat that we started with, and then we just added straps that were 15.5 inches. Each of the webbing was 15.5 inches. All you need to do is know how to sew a straight line, and this works out really great. There's so many great things you can do with sewing. Please don't feel intimidated by sewing. And if you ever have any questions or if there's anything you would like to learn as a beginner sewist, feel free to leave it in the comments. I do check my comments often. I also want to mention I have a whole playlist for beginners. So take a moment, go check it out because there's a world of different simple projects that are beginner friendly and would be helpful to you on your sewing journey. Until next time, I hope to see you soon. My name is Joy and I am the Imperfect Sewist. Have a wonderful day.